Alright, what can this do? Bone made from the oldest bones known to mankind. Some say the bones are still alive. Right-click to leap in the direction you're looking. Gain speed 3 for a few seconds. Bone cage. Press right-click. Throw a fast-moving projectile in front of you that stuns any player that gets hit for a few seconds. Wait. All this time I've worked for it, and now it's mine. Even as a solo player, I'm still the first and only player to have a legendary weapon. It's mine to do what I like. Especially for killing players who are waiting for me in my own base. What are you doing in my base?
Oh, it's here. It's here. He's here.
Where you going, what, Max?
I don't know, it's Sun and Lightning, or whatever. And there's like a lot of damage. Hello, guys.
Don't mind, they're not screwed into the procedure. Got myself together to create something that I wanted to. There's anything that I can do.
Yeah, funny.
You took me down this path and never joining my fun. Oh, you told me what to be told. Thought you were the coolest, but I guess I was wrong. So can you please just look at yourself? So hard to believe the sky that you made all yourself. So can you please just look in your heart? I know that that's the one that we drifted apart. To my home and path. It's my fault.
I guess. These guys were more annoying than an actual threat. Like a flock of pigeons picking a fight with a jet engine. The only reason I had to run is because they didn't just come to a fight with who were the best players on the server. Regardless, I found it annoying that I had to run from a 2v1. I'm the best player on the server with a legendary weapon, even if it is the weakest one. Yet I can't even win a 2v1 against mid-level players. The next time they try this, it won't go the same way. The only bad part about having the only legendary on the server is now everybody wants to kill me. Oh, I forgot you had that. It looks pretty cool, right?
Grandpa, watch out! Sorry, you're gonna jump.
You kind of keep getting outnumbered. Yeah, everyone's on. Yeah. Kind of in the same boat where I see. So you want to ally up, right?
I was thinking more, he ain't much as an ally.
Oh.
So, you say 1, 2, 3, that's like Trinity. Oh, that's the Trinity there.
It's pretty sick, man, I gotta be honest. Perhaps the guy who came up with it.
You did that, so what do you say?
It's a tough decision. Let me explain where I'm coming from. So, it's a little tricky from my point of view because I got the bone blade on my own, and now I've just been getting these like outnumbered fights even before I got it. But I feel like if I joined a team to like avoid these outnumbered fights, what does that say about me?
There's never
Right there. Oh, there's that. Wait. Hey, I repeat that. There's a zombie in that.
That's God cool. But before the God is next to me. And I'm a God.
That means 30 seconds for my cooldown.
No, yeah. I mean, that's still a 3v5 for them.
You scared me,
You're
fucking ability.
We're allowing teams of
You
5.
less than me now. I mean, they're all bad though, so I think it's fine.
So they're cheaters.
We actually did something about that and like made a team of cheaters quit if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Please don't stun me, please.
If times get dire, I'll know who to look to.
Okay.
Same goes for you guys. If I joined a team just to avoid getting put in unfair fights, what does that say about me as a PvPer and the only player to have a legendary weapon? Regardless, I know having untrimmed armor says about me, so I started putting a cool banner on my shield and trimmed my armor with full netherite. The best player's gotta have some drip, you know?
Okay, bro. Really gonna do this? Touch it, chase. Space. Place. Step up and embrace it. Get back on the race. Baby, I'm trying to get rid of it. Let me go die in the trip. Baby, I'm trying to get paid. Let me go die in the trip. Let me go die in the trip.
Yes? Listen, the reason I hit you was because I was listening to a YouTube video, sorry. Thank you. I'm just taking now, grinding to get yourself next one. The last two selves get outright.
No, well, try and take time with them, please. Try and take your time with this one. Because that's only leaving one, isn't it? Hey? That's only going to leave one more now, isn't it? He has to take time.
See, the last one said, you need to go after the day of my last meal.
Well, maybe it's the last question.
Alright.
Get right on every mistake. I give up a break, they taking a plate. They're solving a feeling that I'm gonna shake. So I just keep killing till I'm at the gates. We straight, we treat them like worms in a lake. They bake, still me a drum in the face. I skate and grind till I'm numb in the face. Okay, don't kill my name. Don't talk about touch, I got ice in my veins. I'm coated in tray. I stick to the code, I'm glitching the game. I do anything for the win. Touch it and trace. Everyone give me some space. Don't fall out, we fall in some place. Every step you with grace. Keeping my foot on some brakes. Impact, I'm ready to trace. Get up and finally escape. Wait. Baby, I'm trying to get paid. Legends don't die in the change. They live through the story. Baby, I'm trying to get paid. Legends don't die in the change. Legends don't die anyways.
Okay. Thinking about we got a few. I haven't attached to the one lesson. I feel like every more contract is best. That's my greatest strength.
Baby, I'm trying to get paid. Baby, I'm trying to get paid. Legends don't die in the change. They live through the story they made, okay? Baby, I'm trying to get paid. Legends don't die in the change. Legends don't die anyway. Working on a plane today. Body back some of the way I paid. Stepped up like a baby today. Too many of us making mistakes. Too many of us staying awake. Get it and get right on every mistake. I give up a plate, they taking a plate. They're solving a feeling that I'm gonna shake. So I just chillin' till I'm at the gates. We straight, we treat them like worms in the lake. They fake, just give me a drum in the face. I skate till I'm numb in the face. Okay, don't pick up my name. Don't talk about the sorry, I'm holding in tray. I stick to the glue, I'm pitching the game. I do anything. Space. Space.
Stick out. Night.
Let's go!
Oh my gosh. Let's go. Oh my god. I got his head. He was so stacked.
Wait, past the head, bro, past the head. That's the final head. Oh my gosh.
Dude.
Yo, good thing I logged on.
I was doing so well in that 2v1 as well. That was really... Dude, you know what's so funny? I was doing better against them than I was against Whatmax and Vino. I think it's just
Really?
because I had wind charges.
Oh my god.
Thanks for helping me there.
No problem, bro.
That discussion with Epax and Dolphin proved fruitful faster than I expected. I never even called Epax for help. He literally just showed up and helped me. Anyways, now that those pests were dealt with, I can go back to what's important. Getting myself a new horse! What is... Oh! What altar is this? Bloodlust. Ooh. This horse is no cornball, but it'll do. Bro.
Hey now, bro!
Hey, bro.
It's a nice boat land you got there.
Indeed it is.
Gonna look really cool on my hotbar.
Hey, you wish.
Yeah. I do wish, and I'm chasing my dreams right now.
Everybody wanna see me stop. Breaking down walls, no sheetrock. Boys steaming off trees like teapots. Hey, y'all want smoke to get hit with a detox, coast to coast, spin a pool, shooting E-locks. Y'all don't rock the bars, don't keep shots. Get out here, blazing. Make my game was craving. Been up in don't need no praising. No cake, I don't need no saving. I do it my name. Tell everything you do, gave them. I don't do no hangouts. I'ma stand outside till the pan out. Till my man out, till I'm the big out. Spin the tick, 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 she stand out, nigga. Life's a trip, with a pan out. Even with a man out, my whole team a check. I don't need a friend. I just need a flip, to flip that 10 times. We see where to get it, yeah. That's why I had no real pick. I control the shit so I can get the shit. The choppers, team for the dogs. See you, it's counting the numbers. He's not gonna tell me they're real. They better tell me. Nobody stop me.
It's so annoying. Always getting 2v1'd. Nobody ever takes me in a fair fight. I guess I should be flattered. They're so scared that they'll never take me in a 1v1. And Newfleet is like the second best player on the server.
Yo,
You are not gonna believe what just happened.
what just happened, bro?
I got 2v1'd at my base. For the third time! If Dimfy's at my base still, I'm just gonna go and kill him. I want to get revenge on these guys so bad.
Once I get bloodless, bro, I'm killing what Max and as and Newfleet.
Dude, I want to kill Newfleet so bad. You're just dedicated to somebody's gun. I fight him in a 1v1. I pop his totem, break his shield, then he runs. And then we skip forward. He goes to my base. He doesn't even try to 1v1 me. He 2v1s me.
What weapon you got, bro? It's scary.
They robbed me. They stole my netherite.
Gunpowder. Yo, they might be going for it. Because, like, gunpowder and netherite specifically, that entails that they're getting the bonus crossbow.
They stole all my cream.
Okay, I'm gonna get the bonus. I'm a little worried because they got all your items.
No, I had like 7 ancient cream.
So that's not bad, but it's still like.
But they stole my 2 netherite ingots.
Luckily, netherite ingots is
Trip my armor with it. Every time I get like 2 stacks of gaps, I always just get jumped.
Oh my god, my dad just like jumps on me for 1 second.
They will dread the day they finally decide to 1v1 me. Did they kill my horse? Where is it? I'm 2k blocks out from Bloodlust. I should get there before session time.
Okay.
I'm just gonna run on foot. One thing I failed to mention earlier was how legendary weapons are only able to be crafted at certain times of the day, known as session times. I plan on meeting Epax at the Bloodlust altar, so we can safely craft the Bloodlust. If we were successful in this, we would be the only 2 players to have a legendary weapon.
Mino's here. Mino's here. No. He's guarding it.
Can he hear you? Can he see you? It's an open room.
I'm almost up here. He's waiting for the session as well.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna distract you. I'm gonna try to lure him away from Bloodlust so you can craft it.
So that it's either I craft it or they kill him.
We can't let him get it. Max might be there to protect him. Alright, it's fine. I'll take that 2v1 for as long as I can. I'm just gonna pause speed right now. I gotta go. Just stay quiet, don't even say a word. I'm 800 blocks away. I'm gonna get there before it starts, don't you worry. I'm just waiting. Okay, I can see the temple. You want me to wait a little bit to jump in or go right in? So, I can go and invite him whenever. He's in. Yeah. It's not fun. I can see the altar name. I'm going. Where are you?
On the north side. If you see like stone blocks, that's what. Wait, did I do?
I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you.
Yes, I am. Flying around the edge. And the other. killing him. Should I come in? Okay, no, I'm gonna hide this one. Okay.
Where you going, Mino? It's just you and me, bro. Run. Go on ahead, run. That's what I thought. Getting that. This is where he was. This is where he was. Go. Get it. Stay crouched. Let's get the trust to back with one next, I guarantee it. I don't see them yet.
You know, if you're listening, sorry, we have some bad news. It's not Maverick drafting again. Hey.
Sorry, champ. Seems the way it's gotta be.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So thank you. He said thank you. And he said,
Let's go hunt him, bro. Let's go kill him. My shit's blood. We've been getting 2v1 all day. It's time we show them what we're made of.
no. Wait, hold on, I want to see if this thing does.
Yeah, we're gonna do.
Alright. Shift left click to see your kill count. Oh my god. This thing upgrades every kill.
What?
So at 0 kills, I get an infection attack. 15% chance to bleed an enemy on hit.
What?
1 kill, I get permanent speed 2.
What?
2 kills, I get a blood tracker. So I could I'm like tracking players down.
Okay.
On the 3rd kill, I get a blood trail, so I could like jump a puddle of blood.
What? Like Splatoon?
4 kills. On 4 kills, I get permanent strength 1. On
What?
5 kills, I get a blood hook.
Bro, that thing's OP. And here I am with this little thing.
Why did he say thank you when I crafted it?
Maybe he didn't know he had to have everything because he was hiding there.
Unless
Why was he saying thank you? Hey, you need to promise me one thing though. You can't die with that.
I won't. I won't. So what? I'm gonna use some blood. But
Here's my crystal one. It's not for sale yet.
stored up there. I'm such a nuts.
Let's check out your base first, just to see if they're camping out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
My com.
So they're not
He's
at their base.
cute.
Honestly, that's
My com.
So there's
Pass.
2 more that haven't been crafted yet. Vulcan's crossbow.
My com.
Frost
Pass.
Yeah.
My com. Pass. Scary. I said it. I am the Twitter. Go to you and me. Hi.
Yo, guys, what happened?
Dude, we ran to the nether and then we tried back in the
You know that the master stopped and when the master saw like this, you know, he's like, you're still walking on them, so that's the way. So just the thing, the other dude was going to the floor, they stop the stuff in the box. There's no one in the backstory, as he does this like he tries to see, just let the queen go now. You're that woman saying so nice, that's actually that was it. So the red and not for a lot of, so you know, it's like, you're still walking on to the range of the numbers and that, the other dude will go to the
5 minutes afterwards,
you still
Nino
fucking
crafted the Wand of Illusion, and Nufli crafted the Vulcan's crossbow. And based upon the 3 one Nufli just took, it seems like a pretty strong weapon. Seeing this absolute carnage Nufli just really screwed I got with the bone blade.
So, your master spoke right away, the next fell up, you see, you know? He's like, you're still walking on Strathman way. Was in that exchange we ordered over to
I personally think the Wand of Illusion's ability is cooler, but less practical to play. It lets the user transform into whichever mob they most recently killed. Every legendary that Apex that I don't have is currently in the hands of our greatest enemies. Not to mention that instead of being a bunch of babies and team up so that we have a better chance at killing us, we're just 2 players, by the way. Us 2 against literally everybody else on the server, and with tomorrow being the end fight, it would be their best opportunity to kill us and take our legendary weapons. Despite Boneblade being the weakest one, I want to have the Ice Under.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we need to play perfectly as a duo here if we want to win any fights.
Hey, don't like me?
What?
This again, a wither.
Oh, what you see now? Guns are waiting like lost our hair stuff. What's it up anyway? Just a minute. Shit, I don't know what I did on the floor.
What the hell was that?
Let's do this. Oh, bro.
You can't attack us. You can't attack us. Oh my God! Come in.
Nappa, come here.
That's gonna do me no good with this trimmed armor.
I don't really care about the dragon. I have some bounties.
Get on board, guys. I got sunlight put up. Oh yeah,
You're still walking amongst the death on the remember the practicing.
They're home. Get the sunlight.
You got the sunset though.
Yeah, push. Now.
I almost dropped nuclear, bro.
What's up, boss? Right. It's 120. It's over.
It's like that. Oh my God. Who are you?
Not all that. Never gonna kill me.
Where do you be? What map? Oh my God. Yeah, I got it. Oh, it's not
I want that. I'm dead.
Hey, watch out for the dragon. Watch out for the dragon. Oh my God, the dragon. It's good. Hurry up. Yo, back up. Let's go. Oh my God.
We got voltage, we got voltage. I got it. You know what? Watch out. You know what I say, you guys? What? I got it. We got it. I got it. We get it. Right here. No. Go away. Don't let me know it.
Oh, yeah, that's on close. I can try that road. And then the single close. Whatever.
Okay, dude, what's the plan? Where are you going to
Hey,
this base?
let's go! In fact, we got to go to my fucking. This is super awesome. I'm gonna pop some tags.
Yeah, I know what I forgot to do. Who's this? 3 people in this?
This is super awesome. I'm gonna pop some tags. I think I'm putting down in my pocket. Going for a cover. This is super awesome.
Where's the neck? I wanna kill them.
Oh my god. Get out! I got stun.
Ever since the server started, I've tried to prove myself as the strongest player. I was the first to craft a legendary weapon. I've never lost a fair fight. I was the first player to hold 2 legendary weapons. I am the only one to have not died a single time. But my only teammate, my best friend, has just died with the 2 strongest legendary weapons. And now I've let Mino escape with the strongest legendary weapon. When these guys run, it's a 3v1 in their favor. I didn't need to prove that I was the strongest anymore. I never needed to prove it. Even with the weakest legendary weapon, nobody is brave enough to take me in a fair fight. 2v1, 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 3v1, 3v1. The only time I've ever been in a truly fair 1v1, I popped his illegal totem, broke his shield, and made him run away. I've always been the best player, with or without. I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about the legendary weapons. I will win this 2v6.
Five. You tried. Oh God, you tried. You tried. You tried your best. You tried your best. You tried your
You guys are so good.
best. Yeah, no, that's the real only time I've done. I don't know, faker. You know, right, buddy? Thought you were faker. Oh, fucking you, I won't continue to make you. But just so much well, something when I dance to be careful. Easy does it. It's the stupid I don't like to. It's life.
What's that? Never won.
No, I just decided to ignore you.
Yes.
This isn't you, Chubs.
I killed him. Oh, shit. We did it, guys. We won. We own the server. Alright. Now that we have...
We have no competition.
We will rule everyone.
These weapons aren't what makes us strong. What is it then? It's who we are. We got that dog in us.
Yes!
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and check out this video where I faced off against some of the sweatiest and best players in Minecraft and obliterated them even while they were cheating, all because they said I was worse than them.
Oh, it's nice and cool in here. You put them in your drawer, please. Fucking sick of cleaning, I am. Got to leave next. Oh, it was a pigsty. It's a fucking cat.
When you go to the landing, you got in. I said, do you mind?
No, I'm a babysitting.
Everybody wants this god sword. Little did anybody know. This is a massive 100-player Minecraft war, an event where the last man standing takes it all. The catch is, only Minecraft's best players in the world were invited. Can I survive to the very end and win, or fall to the wrath of these tier 1 characters? Oh, where the hell are you? Where are you? Bro, are you kidding?
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Reddit Stories video. You guys love these, so I brought them back just for you. Subscribe to the channel for more videos, follow my Instagram to keep up with me, and join my Discord just because. And now let's get into these scary Reddit stories. I killed my best friend last week. Now he's acting like nothing happened.
Yes, why didn't you tell me? Because you told Shrimpo if you ever found a mermaid, you would sell it to him for free. Did I say that? Or did I say 50k? It's right. The bell. We'll chat about this later. I open my store in 30. How do you change back? You got a dry towel? Yes, why didn't you tell me? Because you told Shrimpo if you ever found a mermaid, you would sell it to him for free. Did I say that? Or did I say 50k? Back. You got a dry towel? Yes, why didn't you tell me? Because...
Reddit Stories. I killed my best friend last week. Now he's acting like nothing happened. He's dead. I thought, finally realizing, stood over his body. What am I going to do? And truth was, I had no idea. Murder was a serious charge. I'd watched those true crime documentaries. I knew how this worked. The killer always gets caught no matter what. God, I'm a killer. I looked around. We're in a small clearing in the woods east from my house, woods that nobody ever went into, which was partly why we did. It was so that we could do whatever we wanted. You know, stupid challenges, games, that sort of thing. Stuff for laughs. But I wasn't laughing, and Josh certainly wasn't either. I looked back down at his body. It was awful. His clothes were torn and tattered, and his face was split open in an awful way down the left side of his head. You'd have to squint hard if you even wanted to lie to yourself that it looked like remotely human. I felt another pang of adrenaline. I need to be smart. I need to make this go away. I have to. I moved over to my left. There was a ditch here, about 2 meters deep, shallow on one side but rocky on the other. I looked back behind me towards Josh's bike and started to piece a story together. I thought, maybe he was riding his bike down here. He got distracted by something. Maybe he went into these sharp rocks. Along the shallow side of the ditch, there was a bit where the rim turned upwards, like a ramp. Okay, he went along here, this ramp, got distracted, hit the rocks. It was the only thing I could think of. Maybe the sharp rocks slit his face like that. It might be a little far-fetched, but it was the best I could think of. I took a deep breath and lifted Josh. He was heavier than I thought, and I almost slipped in the wet dirt as I hoisted him over my shoulder and carefully placed him in the ditch. I tried to make it look like he was crawling away. He probably wouldn't have died straight away. Satisfied with the placement of him, I turned my attention to the pipe. Still pristine, as me and him had just stopped and leaned up against a tree earlier. That's not good work. It needs to be bashed up. I grabbed his bike and slowly pulled it down the hood and the cap and picked it up. And lifted it up. Up the bench. Picked it back up and did it again. That was alright. I didn't pick it back up after. It was already in a good spot. Probably would be more authentic if I didn't close it. The last thing I did was take my jacket off, all the blood on it, hoisted it under my arm, put it on the seat of my bike, and after taking one last look back, rode back home. I left Josh there and with him a little bit of myself as well. I unlocked the front door of my house and hurried inside. I ran up to my room immediately and hid the coat under my bed. I'll figure out what to do with it later. I dulled my brain with a shooter game, barely paying attention. The rain outside was a small mercy. Maybe it would wash some evidence away. My mom was coming back from work by now, and so I was now trying to act in higher spirits so nothing seemed too off. I guess I probably had up until this evening before the police would be called. Josh usually hung around in town for a few hours after we hung out, and so it wasn't unusual for him to be home late, but Josh wouldn't come home. I heard the key turn in the door. It made me jump. I got up and plastered a smile across my face and went to meet her at the front door. Damn, she called from the hall. Hey, Mom, I said, lingering in the doorway, arms crossed. Did you have fun with Josh today? She said, back turned to me. Yeah, I did. I had to come home a bit early, though. He said he needed to do something. Well, I'm sure it was important. Anyway, it's the holidays now. You can always hang out with the water. Yeah. My smile slowly faded. I went to bed that night. With my eyes, I could see that bitch etched in my big lips, big legs, big water. I got maybe half an hour of sleep before I jolted me awake at 5 a.m. I immediately remembered Josh's face. Possible. A stranger in my sleep. The air was suffocating. The my house felt far larger than I'd ever noticed, and they had any right to be. Nothing felt so I haven't described it to you because I can't really understand myself. The thought of Josh's parents, waiting anxiously for a boy who would never come back. Their only son. I felt sick. I'm not sure if my mom had noticed that something was up. I mean, she must have, but I noticed her giving me weird looks for that entire morning. Occasional glances. All of this pressure kept building and building and building and building to an almost unbearable level until, at about 1 PM, there was a knock on the door. My mom answered it, and as I sat there in the living room, head in my hands, I could hear what the man at the door was saying. It was muffled, but clear enough for me to hear parts of it. Yes. No, he didn't. His parents haven't seen him. If we could just... And, my mom said, opening the door and letting the man into the room. This man here just needs to ask you some questions. It's about Josh. I bottled everything down, swallowed, and then spoke as clearly as I could. Maybe a little bit too quickly. It was the best I could do. Josh. I looked away from my mom, now at the officer. He had a more kind facial expression, with a tinge of unease and awkwardness. About to break the news. Not supposed to know. This happened to me, and chuckled slightly. And he got himself within a single word, and trailed off. And Josh hasn't been seen since yesterday morning. Now he spoke with his mother. She says that she last saw him when he went out. Now, that's true. That he might have been the last person. I was staring at the name tag on his uniform. I didn't interpret it as letters, just shapes. I wasn't really focusing on it anyway. He shuffled in his seat slightly. Look, I know it's a lot to handle right now, and I understand that you two were close, but do you think that we could just ask you some questions? I told him that we went up into the woods, although I lied about where exactly. Then I said that after a little while of just chilling out, he'd gone further in, and I'd just turned around and gotten home. All the while, the officer was nodding comfortingly and never once changed facial expression from that slight smile, the smile that didn't reach the eyes. I suppose I was relieved, I guess, that I wasn't being taken in or arrested. In fact, I didn't get any sort of feeling that he even considered me a suspect. And I don't blame him. I don't have a history of anything. I never get into fights before. I keep my head down. I love the door.
What?
Anything could happen. Especially when it gets this written. After about an hour, I was saying he was fresh effort. Part of the odd is I stopped riding my bike on that. Something that reminded me of that scene. But it was getting easy. We got rid of the jacket with all the blood on it, and all of the officers came back to the house a few times and stuck on the same story. And after a few days, they stopped. I felt like I could finally start moving on with things. And occasionally, I'd pass by the window of Josh's house on the way into town to see his mother sat in his hands. She'd give me that cutting cigarette, the same one that didn't quite reach the eyes, and I'd returned it. And deep down, I know it was worse, that I had done the crime in the first place, and the fact that I was brushing it off so easily. However, this brief comfort ended about a week after the day I'd killed him, because after I'd hidden his mangled body in a ditch and lied to everyone I knew, I got a knock on the door, and as I peered through the window to check who it was, my blood ran cold. Josh was stood outside my front door grinning. I just sort of stood there, like an idiot. It was him, of course it was. It was Josh. And somehow his face looked fine. It looked normal. His face was all back in place and his clothes looked fine. He'd noticed me by this point. He waved to grab my attention, and with that grin still on his face, eagerly pointed towards the door, mouthing, "Let me in." I didn't know exactly what to think, but I found myself unlocking the front door. And there he was. The person I'd left muddied and bloodied in the woods stood about a meter away from me, clean and healthy. He was just asking me about. I walked in. Hey, I thought we'd go back out in the woods. It took me a second to turn around and face him. The process he had just said. Josh, we're gonna go then. He interrupted, still grinning, but with slight emotions. He walked back past me into the garden before I even had a chance to say anything. Got on his bike that he had left against the front of my house. That clean, very much not battered bike. I rode next to him. It wasn't possible, it wasn't. I could still see his mangled face in my mind. It still haunted me. And now, it was all too much. It was supposed to be final. I'd convinced him to avoid the woods. He'd protested, but I was adamant. I didn't want to go back there anytime soon, and I wasn't sure what I'd find there anyway. He was still smiling. It hadn't fallen once since he'd arrived at my house, and it wasn't getting any less unsettling. We were riding now into town. He said we'd go and pick up some food, then sit down somewhere and just hang. I looked back at him again. He slowed to a stop. Look at that. I turned and faced the other way. He was pointing at one of those missing posters that his mother, only a few days ago, had plastered up on every whole wall around his head. Wow. My voice managed to at least blurt that out here at the end. I don't know. It's weird how people thought I was missing for a week, right? Even my mom. It's not like her to forget. I burned my breath. Seeing that missing poster, these men that I was a little crazy. Still, I had to make it somehow. I mean, she even called the police to believe that I trust her. But it's okay. I told her about what happened. She told them saying it's all alright. I was slowing down, so I caught back up to him. And further up our road, past his house. This looked as we had approached him. My eyes had fallen to her later. And after Josh waited, I saw the mother grinning and moving back. Her head placed into me. I stopped suddenly, stopped too. I tried to think about how to ask this. I didn't want to be too direct, but I still needed to know the truth. Listen, Josh, I looked at him. He nodded. What did you mean when you said your mom forgot? He started chuckling and seemed to relax a bit. Well, it's the funniest thing. He leaned in closer towards me. She somehow doesn't remember driving me up to the camping spot last Tuesday. Isn't that mad? I blurted an affirmation. Tuesday. That was the day after I killed him. I pressed further. Do you remember what happened last Monday? His grin stopped for a moment and then returned. Well, come on. Of course I remember. You do too, right? In the woods? He chuckled and started writing again. I joined him, dumbfounded. I tried to push it to the back of my mind, as difficult as that was, and pretended everything was fine. Stopped off at the chip shop, picked some food up, and rode up to the It wasn't the fact he was back from the dead that freaked me out. It was the way he was acting. He was like stupidly positive. And before, that was something that was weak. Things were always fun to Josh. But now it was freaking me out. The fact that he seemed to know what I did to him as well. Because you know I killed him. Sad. Hated snaps. He couldn't think of anything to say. He seemed to be perfectly content eating his chips, so I didn't feel a need to say anything. After a few minutes, he finally spoke. What have you been up to in the last week then, while I was gone? He paused, smiling. Camping. Camping? I found myself muttering. Yeah, of course. I messaged you last week about it. Don't tell me you're forgetting too. His teeth chomped down on another chip. I felt for my phone. I hadn't gotten a text from him. I knew that. I had spent the first few days after I'd killed him constantly rereading our last conversation. I unlocked my phone, Josh still happily eating, and navigated to our messages. I read our last conversation. It was on Sunday. I breathed a sigh of relief. It didn't happen. Josh stopped eating and looked at my phone. He grabbed it out of my hands. Why are you up here? He choked. Look, you have to scroll down, you knob. He scrolled the chat down and then thrust the phone into my face. I read what it said. Monday, 12:10 p.m. Josh. Oh, Dan, listen. I'm going camping tomorrow. I can't remember if I told you or not. Swallowed. I'd never seen that text before. He frowned swiftly and looked back at my phone. I didn't swallow hard. He fumbled with it for a second and then placed it into my hands. He turned away and continued eating. I looked and focused down at the phone. It was the most recent message. On Monday last week at 12:12 p.m. He said, Mate, why do you never invite me to these things, LOL? Anyway, you have fun, bro. I chuckled nervously for a split second and stopped myself. Next is from me. I looked at Josh, keeping eye contact with him, while slowly turning my phone off and placing it into my pocket. He wiped his greasy hands on his jeans and smiled. You can eat any of yours. I hadn't even touched my portion. I looked around the park for a second. The only exit was in front of us, in front of the bench. I looked back at Josh. Yeah, listen. I sprang to my feet and got onto my bike. As I started pedaling, I shouted to him, You can finish them. I turned my attention back to what was in front of me. I knew where I needed to go. I could hear him calling my name, no doubt getting on his bike and chasing after me. But I knew what I needed to do and where I needed to go. But first of all, I had to lose him. As I left the park gates, I immediately turned left into an alley and then turned right. I continued straight ahead for a while before turning out back onto the main road. I was heading towards the woods. I slowed slightly and turned around. I couldn't see him. I didn't know how close he was, but he didn't have line of sight to me, which was something. I gritted my teeth and entered into the woods. I still remember the route we went through that day. It wasn't particularly difficult, as it was mainly a straight line with a hard left turn. Landmarks along the route were distinct enough for me to remember easily. When I got there, my suspicions were confirmed. The body and the bike was still there, exactly as I left it. It was rotting. I gagged and looked away and saw what was against Josh. I was just eating chips. I didn't know what to do. I could point the body out to the police. That would work. An autopsy would say that the body was rotting for a week. That would prove that the Josh that was still alive was some kind of fake, but they then realized that it was me. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to turn it in. Don't do that. I turned around. Josh was stood next to his bike, about maybe 10 meters away from me. He wasn't smiling anymore. What the fuck are you? I said. But he didn't answer. You're not going to tell the police anything, he said. I'll be back up here in a bit to sort all of this out. What are you? I repeated. You let me live my life and I'll let you live yours. We won't talk about this again. His voice was sounding oddly deep and raspy. Remember, here's what you did. I'll see you soon. But before I could respond, he was already far. There's something in the vent. This is a recollection of events that need to get off the chest. There's no one close to me anymore. Like an adult, I moved to Georgia and lost touch with everyone. I haven't made many friends here either, at least. No one close enough to take me seriously. Maybe this is the best place to let it all out. Judgment. Laugh at me or call me an idiot. So, here it goes. I used to live in a rural part of Arkansas, surrounded by nothing but dirt and fields. The nearest supermarket was more than 30 minutes away, and at most, it was a rundown farm station with 2 locations. Father ran a farm, so we lived on an expansive plot of land. The house was 2 stories, and the top floor had big windows with fields. My aunt lived with us, along with my grandfather. He wasn't as well as mine was sleeping over. Alzheimer's had taken him. He also didn't remember who we were. It was hard. My aunt and I clung to each other. Despite being my father's younger sister, she was only a couple of years older than me. My grandfather had run around a lot in his younger days. As for my dad, he was battling an addiction with alcohol, though, if I'm being honest, wasn't a battle he was winning. Still, I tried to be hopeful. Those years were rough, and I think that made my aunt and me more susceptible to the things we endured that summer. We were just kids, only 14 and 16. We were scared of everything. It didn't help that we spent our free time watching satirical horror videos or staying up late playing scary games. We fed into our paranoia, willingly or not. The house was old and creaky, with wooden panels lining the exterior and matching walls inside. It was big enough for my aunt and me to deem hide-and-seek worthy, even at our age. We did a lot of childish stuff like that. The night it all started up late, as usual. It was around 6 p.m. We did binge storytime videos on YouTube and help bring sheet content. And that we prepped the kind that makes your blood run cold, hair, nerves, and being watched, figuring it's only paranoia that we were playing in some college. Clear the night, maybe that would help us, but no matter how much we were ourselves, sitting around the table with my aunt directly beside me, quickly glanced at the vent behind me. I feel like someone's watching us. From the vent dot, my aunt snapped her head toward me, her voice exasperated. Bro, why would you say that? The color drained from her face. Tossing all rationality out the window, we decided the best course of action was to start taping our coloring sheets over the upstairs vents. Then, just like that, the feeling lifted, like we had somehow sealed away whatever was watching us. The coloring sheets stayed up for days until my dad found them and took them down, thinking we were just being goofy. By then, the strange feeling had faded, and life went back to normal. Or so we had led ourselves to believe. The next occurrence was while playing hide-and-seek. The house was full of good hiding spots like small nooks and crawl spaces, just big enough to squeeze into if you tried hard enough. It was my turn. I went downstairs to the maintenance closet. The usual spot was on the margin of the pantry shelf where I stacked cans in front of myself to stay hidden. So many times that the usual hiding place. That's when I saw a medium-sized air vent behind one of the shelves. And there was just enough space that we could crawl and maybe separate this air. Probably mentioning that I didn't see it. I'm not even meant to get crawled in. Carefully replacing the space was cramped, manageable. Both search and thrive. There's no way she would find me here. And on it was pitch black inside, making it even easier to stay hidden. I held my breath and listened. Countdown ended. echo from the house, so opening and closing, the sound of its footsteps. Stayed perfectly still. The soft glow trickled through the cracks of the window as she peered in. I could just barely see her eyes scanning. She stood there unexpectedly directly in front of me in the vent. And in my curled up position, she was taller than usual. As she turned to leave, I could see her hesitate. Slowly, she knelt down and snapped the vent latch shut. I held my breath. A wave of panic hit me. Was she messing with me? Did she actually not know I was in here? She walked away and I let out a shaky exhale. I stayed curled up in the vent, convinced she was bluffing. But then it dawned on me it had been over 20 minutes. A terrible realization sank in. She wasn't coming back. She didn't know I was in here. I pressed my palms flat against the vent, pushing on the metal. There was no give. As I tried to maneuver myself around, I quickly discovered it was impossible to exert enough strength to make it budge. And then I felt it. A presence. Something watching, staring at me. Every bit of air left my lungs. My stomach twisted into tight knots. Slowly, I shifted my eyes to the side. Darkness. I craned my neck over my shoulder. Except a faint light reflecting off of something's eyes. They shifted rapidly, darting from side to side. Panic surged through me as a frantic claw was shoved against the vent, putting the weight into it with all my strength. Wedged into the heights, my body screamed at me to push harder. No matter how much I tried, I couldn't budge. Creeping from my neck like ropes, fingers that lingered too long. I shrill cried toward the window. Burned, metal biting into my skin as I clawed frantically. Help! The vent pantry, I'm stuck! A skittering shuffle closed in behind me. The thing shifted, creeping closer. Its presence coiled around me, suffocating its breath, hotter than before, tinged with the stench of rot. Suddenly, the door flung open. I could see the silhouette of my aunt as she knelt down, fumbling with the vent latch. And then, light, feathered footsteps scurried away, retreating deeper into the vents, carrying its putrid scent with it. I bolted out, gasping, trembling. Something was in there. It was watching me, breathing. I swear I felt it breathing. She paled. You're lying. Tell me you're lying. I'm not. I gasped out, clutching my chest. Her face was fear and life. Something desperate clawing at the edges of her expression. She fought hard, but it did nothing to steady her shaking hands as she called to the mists. That night, Andrew missed the coloring sheets were never to go near it again. I tried desperately to rationalize it. Maybe the darkness was playing tricks on us. Maybe we had let fear take control of the art way of us. Deep down, it never delayed my instinct. A few weeks had helped living up the ordinary path. Watching, wake up moments like throughout the night, and my eyes staring at me. Myself wasn't real. Those nights we were together, but it was late. My hand was fast asleep. You were not at me, so I didn't wake up. Instead, I stood in the doorway, staring at the insulted. I shook my hands to my sides, trying to shake off the nerves. Past the threshold and landed on something. Sprinkles sounded beneath my foot sharp suddenly. I looked down, squinting my eye to make out the foreign object. A coloring sheet, the one from the pantry vent. I froze. The hairs in the back of my neck stood and a cold sweat broke out across my skin, heavy and suffocating. Terror gripped me, paralyzing every muscle as the air seemed to thicken, pressing in around me. I knew if I looked up, I'd meet its gaze, those eyes, burning into me like a predator's. In that instant, I knew I was its prey. My body went into fight-or-flight mode, and I squeezed my eyes shut, spinning around and running without a second thought. Thud. Then, darkness. Slowly, my eyes fluttered open, the cold metal biting into my skin. Reluctantly, I raised my head, every muscle in my body taut with fear. The heavy silence loomed around me, suffocating and thick. My breath caught in my throat as I scanned the cramped space. I was inside the vent. Everything you're reading is all journal entries. My therapist suggested I start writing things down, a way to process the trauma without having to say it out loud. I didn't tell her everything, and kept those details vague, which more than likely was obvious. At first, I had initially expected, but then I started writing things. The thing I saw in the vision. That's when it started. Even now, as I write this, I can feel it. Watching, waiting. I've gathered all my entries, but I'm not sure what good they'll truly do for me, or anyone else. I don't think I have much time left. So, I decided to leave. I'm burning everything. The journals, the house, every trace of this nightmare. Every word that has acknowledged this creature. Silence doesn't mean I'm gone, it means I have a chance to survive. My boyfriend keeps saying strange things. It's been keeping me up at night. Before she died, my mother dispensed idioms with the mechanical consistency of a gumball machine. She offered them like pieces of stale wisdom. Their minimal flavor quickly faded. Even so, I found myself savoring them. I didn't want to relinquish the last sentiments she had to give me. Watching pots in her boil. Birds and one stone. Honey catches more flies than vinegar. At first, it was easy to pretend that the idiot relevant to our conversations. But as she lost lucidity and held it together, it became unfortunate. Maybe I will forgive this. It's time to bury the elephant in the room. Next to the person. It's always searching for a grasp of perfect. She looked at me like she was thinking covering nonsense. Even then, I suppose she was only telling me the voice of words that were prepared to hear. She was capable of saying them. She was dying. Her jumbled idiocy was all the main experience of having these stories of language that imagine she burned me. She's the elders, leaving the providence. Her disease first manifested, I defeated myself. I became convinced I could slow her decline with the right materials. I brought her daily newspapers until the incident happened. That day I gave her the daily paper and a quick kiss on the cheek. I sank down in the stiff armchair at her bedside and shielded my eyes from the sunlight that streamed in from the window. I glanced at her venous hands and saw them tremble. The paper shook with her convulsions. I felt every muscle in my body tense as she emitted a low, warbling moan. "Mom, what is it?" I asked. But her only response was to curl further in on herself. She clutched her ancient nightgown to her chest like a small child. My heart clenched. Terrified and confused, I reached out to comfort her, to take the paper away, but she broke down sobbing. "Don't cry over book covers," she whimpered. When I finally wrestled the tear-sodden paper away from her, I read the headline, "Jenkins suspected to be 6th and 7th victims of backwards butchery." After that, I only brought Debbie the homework novels, but the damage was done. She stopped reading not long after the newspaper incident. I watched the season change as the trees shed their leaves, the shades of crisp golds and browns appearing came up. As far as the eye could see, the trees' skeleton limbs were left to brace the cold. Without their armor, they looked defenseless and alone. My mother lost herself in much the same way. Day by day, the color bled from her life. Her essence shed from her skin like so many dead leaves. In his absence, she was carved bare, until only a dull, unrecognizable hull remained. I tried to search her face for any semblance of selfhood. Her skeleton veered as if mortality were staking its claim. Flesh clung to her jaw and hung in jowls like the last vestiges of life clung to her frame. She was my mother, and she was death incarnate. I found that I could not look at her for long. I stared hard at the floor, my hands, the door. Anywhere but the unfamiliar gaze from the socket sunken in my mother's face. She said that my gaze had shamefully slid away. She sometimes snarled at me.
"Hey, David, and I'm Sigma the Sigma.
Extreme fingers would dig into my wrist and get imprints in the skin. I could feel her urging me to look at her. Fevers, eyes, my confession so uninhibited. It's hard to visit her again. I found excuses to do as early as I could. Yet never learned. I hated hated the twisted and the idioms that she upheaved like sickness. I hated the ancient smell of the nursing. While I hated sitting next to her, was not seen was a pernicious force. Yeah, I knew she was dying. Once I could see it etched in her face, hear it in the absence of things she could say. Why was I left so bereft when death came? All I could hear, last word she said, it was around her head. Very much like better late than never. I didn't hear her speak again until long after she was dead. Her funeral came and went with little fanfare. A few of my friends came from work. Most of hers were already dead. Together we listened as a pastor we had never met described a caring creator we had never perceived. When the time came, I sprinkled dirt on her casket and watched as the gaping maw of the earth swallowed her whole. Afterward, Ethan, Jade, Allison, Sam, Nick, and I all crowded around a small bonfire as February's cold sank her teeth in our skin. I drank more than I spoke. My friends carried the conversation. When it was time for the rest to leave, Ethan didn't. I sank into his arms that night and every night since. 1 week passed without my mother's idioms, then 2, then 3. Several months came and went. When it rained, it was a pet-free downpour. I judged books by their covers and stared at pots just long enough for them to boil. I don't know why, I just know that I felt her absence acutely. So much so that the lack of her became its own presence. My mother admitted that she didn't deserve it. I couldn't find the justice in it. How was it fair for her to die in a nursing home, left with nothing but a few sentences she could stick together into flowers she could no longer read or be unforgiving? How was it fair that she became urgent in every scene? I hated sitting there, listening to her have a conversation for decades in the past. A prisoner of her time, only ever lucid enough to hate me. Sometimes the grief rose and fell in crests and waves, and other times the anger ignited. When I was angry, I would go home and set a full pot on a hot burner and wait. Just like I used to sit and wait at the nursing home for her to say anything. Do anything. I was good at passive participation. I sat and watched as time elapsed, and let the light from her eyes and the love from her heart. So I did it too. Pots. I wish I could say I watched the water boil because I missed her, but I think the truth is that I was daring her. My own vengeful version of, look, Mom, no hands. A desperate, illogical call for her attention. But in all the times I called for her across the depthless void, I never actually expected her to answer. She didn't. These lips after the fire. The instant of the murder so long and so often. Maybe I forgot to turn it off one night after I came to one. All I know is that the house was flames. Slept safe for ashes. After I lost everything, I was still living. You won't fight a mistake. Of course, I said yes. He had a charming bungalow out in the country that land his grandfather left. Our casual fling became a serious relationship. He meals every night with all his prepared mind clear. As my mother would say, living with Ethan was a silver lining. That's how it felt until she decided to join us. But I didn't know it at the time. As Ethan said, I bugged down on the coffee table and thank you, he said. Hey, do you mind grabbing your blanket? Sure thing. He brushed the curl behind my ear and walked to the door. I was suddenly turned back. There in the doorway for a few minutes, unmoving, as if in a trance. I felt his eyes on me and raised mine only to meet his vacant stare. He was looking through me, his brow was furrowed. I thought I told you to watch dogs never boil. The voice that left his lips was not his, nor was it hers, not really. It was something else, inhuman, a death rattle wheeze that formed the shape of words in the absence of inflection. I did not hear so much as I felt it. A chill that swirled around my spine and tightened. I felt this entity and instantly became clammy and nauseous. I could not speak. My mouth was filled with ashes. Honey, are you okay? like you've seen a ghost. Ethan came out of it, crouched before me, and gently reached for my hands. Finally, my throat unclogged and words spilled out. What did you say? Watching your thoughts never would. Searching his gaze. He saw we shared the future. I didn't say any. Are you sure you're feeling okay? He expected me to be concerned. I believe you. Why did they leave these lips? At first, nothing came of it. I wish I could say that this was the end of it. But it was only the beginning. That voice. I heard that voice more times than I care to admit. The words were always my mother's, but the voice was not of this earth. It was devoid of humanity. It lacked light, love, or warmth. At times, I believed that my mother was speaking to me across a great distance, and maybe the bone-chilling voice was interference. Other times, I was convinced that Ethan was pranking me. It was easier, safer to think my boyfriend was an asshole than it was to think we were being haunted by my mother. But even then, I could not shake my terror. Every day, just as my defenses lowered, that nauseating voice would surface from the grave of his lips and permeate the air. Hours ago, it said, 2 birds, 1 stone, 2 birds, 1 stone, 2 birds, 1 stone, 2 birds, 1 stone, 2 birds, 1 stone. It was a chant, and it was a condemnation. I could not hear the anger, but I could feel it suffusing the words and contaminating our home. Ethan, what is going on with you? I pushed him in the chest, and he was shocked as his head cracked back against the wall. It was like his body went lax, like his form was hollow, and the voice was an abscess. Let her off the hook. The words were carried by a rapid hiss from between his cracked lips. I shuddered as the temperature plummeted. Who? He choked out. I could feel the shift as Ethan returned to his senses. He rubbed his head. Mary, why are you looking at me like that? Ethan, I can't. This isn't funny. You need to stop. I pleaded. Mary, I don't know what you're talking about. My head is pounding. I'm going to lay down for a minute, okay? Flabbergasted, I watched as he walked away and shook off the urge to beg him to stay with me. I wanted, to get to the bottom of this. My boyfriend had a shitty sense of humor, and that's okay, but talk about it like adults. Things have gone too far. So, I searched Tylenol for his headache. Like my mother always said, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. I searched high and low, tablets and words and heard of him. It seemed like I found everything I was. I was almost ready to give up, but then I remembered his guest bathroom. I felt around inside a drawer with my fingers brushing against metal chains. I put them out. They were curious things. They demonstrated the speech of a single urge on thing. Here is the way I can do this. Ethan have family stands for mom and sisters. As I studied them, my heart began to race. 1 stone. Surely that was a coincidence. I wanted to put them back in the drawer. Close it. Forget about it. But even as I thought it, I felt a compulsion to keep them. Some unknown instinct was nudging me almost imperceptibly. The necklaces looked so innocent. They reminded me of high school graduation gifts. I didn't believe they were particularly expensive, but I could tell they were treasured. The birds were smudged with blurred fingerprints as if they had been rubbed continuously. With sudden clarity, I knew where I had seen them before. Of almost his own volition, I felt my hand reach for my phone in my pocket. I pulled it out, unlocked it, and stared at the home screen. Blinking. I typed into the Google Walk. Chickens, twins, and beautiful. My heart sank. God, the necklaces were still evil. The necklaces were a perfect match to the ones the girls wore in the artist's picture. Why else would Ethan have 2 identical necklaces in here? Frantically, I googled backwards picture. There have been suspected victims since the day I gave my mother that name. My mind raced as I searched for Ethan's alibis and came with it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to call the police. Ethan tonight. Honey, where are you? Ethan called from the hall. I panicked and put the necklaces back in the drawer, closing it quietly. I was desperate to confront him. My mother's words rained. Let her off the hook. I thought about all the things she said before and after she was dead. That whole time I thought she was stuck in conversations in the past, but What if she somehow knew about the future? Watched pots never boil. What if she knew about the fire? If I had paid more attention to the burner, then the fire would never have happened. Two birds, one stone. I thought about the necklaces as nausea crept up my throat. Let her off the hook. My pulse raced. What does it mean? Is it literal? Who is she? More importantly, where is she? Should I follow him to find out? Turn around. Look at me. You know, at some point you've heard enough creepy stories about something or someplace that you just kind of need to ignore them. Or so thought. As many of you know, the Appalachian Mountains are bound with things that run there. There's even rules that unexplained about who should and shouldn't be. Find yourself in. If you hear your name, listen. If you saw something, you didn't. On the other hand, it's a beautiful place to live any of those. Pardon me, made real for those who tread the lighter side of life. Unfortunately, much to my appall, I've never been one of those people, but as I've been approaching my 40s, it's quite tiring to constantly being so goddamn uptight. Sad. This is to say that I've been wanting to get more and things that I normally wouldn't, so I decided to go camping. At some point you need to not let that negative fear get you down. At some point you need to see the brighter side of life. I did see something. The first couple days were fun. I drove around taking one road I felt taking and finding a new camping spot each night. The third day I got a late start, and as dusk began to settle, I still hadn't found a good camping spot. Not wanting to sleep in my car on the side of the road, I decided to keep going. Letting the radio keep me company and to drown out the voices in my head telling me that it wasn't a good idea to be driving at night. Nothing like some oldies to keep away the thought of running into a deer in the pitch black. Soon enough, it really was pitch black, making me question my capabilities as a driver. Before this trip, never before had I really experienced that kind of pure darkness. The only light coming from the sliver of the sky, paint, clouds, billions of cars. Just stops them. But my car, morning light, I kept moving. Maybe because the drive had taken on a dreamlike quality, like the feeling of falling asleep, just the thrill of the ground beneath the wheels, and the unconscious movement to keep me on it. Things that existed in the world inside the headlights of the car. Something happened with the radio. The channel grew faint, buzzing and crackling as the sound of a bluegrass band I didn't recognize faded slowly into the garbled mess. We tried changing the channel, but none. I guessed that can sometimes happen, way out into the future. Turning it on the front, I contemplated the silence, decided that I would rather just listen to the dying ocean. Silence overall, giving time and quality and measure. Sound to relate to. Boring. I'd take boring any day. The radio suddenly cranked up, and it began to scour the channels by its own accord. A cacophony of crackles and buzzing filled the air. I pressed the off button, but it did nothing, and neither did any of the others. I contemplated pulling over to try and figure it out, but the thought of getting out of the car and into the darkness felt impossible, like it would turn liquid and swallow me whole, never escaping it to see the morning's light of another day. As the radio made its rounds, some signals started coming through. Faint snippets, unrecognizable. Parts of songs, a radio host's gravelly voice. Maybe if it was getting a connection again, the glitch would sort itself out. Slowly the voices became clearer, and a familiarity wedged somewhere between the words felt warm, vague. Songs sung by men and women a long time ago, cut to bite-sized chunks, producing a weird sort of loop. All suddenly came. It's looping the same snippets over and over again. The next time I listened to it, I did so actively, putting the pieces together with each new line. Oh, Stevie, don't you get out of this place if this is the last thing we ever do? Sound lost. Turn back. Turn around. The familiarity I felt a strong, comforting throat, but as it continued to solve this terrible that pricked at the back of my neck. You see, my name is Steve. My friend is Steve.
Awkward.
Glitch, crazy coincidence emboldened by the darkness of the night and the strange stories that I'd heard. Right? I couldn't listen to it. I couldn't just get spooked by some silly fault in the radio. I'd just become one of those people writing another creepy story with nothing to it. Just a story. It's just a story. Then why wouldn't the fucking radio turn off? Not giving in, I put on my big boy pants and drove on, determined to keep going. The drive had made me a bit tired earlier, but now I was on alert, my veins suckling the first faint hints of adrenaline. The loop slowly began to falter, parts cutting out one by one until just the last one played. Turn around and look at me. Look at me. I can't say whether I checked the rearview mirror because of the words or simply reflex. At first, nothing seemed amiss. Just the glow of the car lights illuminating the road into a gray-black blur. But off in the distance, a pair of eyes glowing like the stars above. I don't know how I knew they were eyes, and not something else. Maybe the natural space between them. Maybe some evolutionary quirk. May all mammals be able to differentiate between a set of stars, two egg yolks, and a pair of eyes. Maybe just nothing. What I found peculiar is that I could definitely say that the eyes were human. Something in them which also seemed like an animal. Perhaps it was the shape, just a strange feeling their gaze imparted upon me.
I'm out of here.
Nasty shiver as my mind tried to place them into the taxonomy of humans, animals, and all other earthly creatures, failing to do so. Although the eyes were floating, whatever body they were connected to simply imparted the dark canvas they roasted. Up and down they swayed, moving along the road, it's going at least 40 miles per hour. And match that, at least for a while. It was impossible. They had been following me for much longer, at least, I thought, as I stepped on the gas, ready to leave all this weird shit in the dust. As the engine revved up and the gears turned higher, the snippet kept playing in the background, volume rising closer to the engine, as it egged on my way to the car. Turn around, look at me. The headlights didn't help much at the speed I was going. If something came up in front of me, there was no way I'd have time to swerve. I swerved where? The forest around me was as black as the sky. The rearview mirrors still framed the pair of eyes, their swaying more rapid and violent as they followed. They seemed to become ever so slightly bigger at each glance. Coming closer, fear wrapped his claws around my stomach, pushing a nauseating rock into my gut. The road I was on was long and straight, but at some point it would turn or lead into something. The meter showed 8 miles per hour. I didn't dare go any faster. It would surely kill me if I hit something or swerved off-road if it couldn't already. Turn around, look at me. It was catching up fast, so slowing down wasn't an option. I mean, I guess there could be a logical explanation. Something that when I slowed down and took a look at, again, I'd burst out laughing. But when I looked at those eyes and I really tried to keep my eyes on the road, there was something vile in them. Something unnatural.
Or yourself knowing.
Anyone else should have ever looked into them. A warning. The radio started to click, winding the song snippet backwards, then resuming, but with a different starting point, making what used to be the melody that resolved the line now the beginning. It made me turn around. Turn around. The road had been straight for too long, and a few slight curves had already introduced themselves into the mix. Soon there would be something there, and I'd crash. The eyes were burning in the back of my mind.
Hang on.
Take my chances and dive for the fucking cars. Taking my foot slowly off the gas, I gripped the handle. As I turned, slowly my eyes looked for the best. First, the violent currents reaching right into the asphalt like giant brushes dripping with hot oil. Judging by the sounds, I didn't look awful at least. That was good, as the car came to a stop. I very nearly decided to not open my eyes at all, realizing suddenly that the movements had felt like a near-perfect 180. Whatever had been behind me should now be looking straight at me. The dread in my gut was almost enough to convince me otherwise, but I was simply too jittery and too long gone to not see this to the end. When I opened my eyes, and taken this I had this moment and checked the rearview mirror, all the visions of the lizard trapped into rearview. Just silent, accentuated by the bloody growl of our standing. That meant that the radio turned off its which didn't make any sense. Near panic gave way to a seeping calm and victory. Turning the handbrake again, I began to slowly make my way out. Returning where I'd come from, away from the mountains. I let my hands relax in the steering wheel, my eyes on the road. I didn't try the radio again. After a few miles, my body began to relax and my eyes felt sleepy. Like I'd just run a marathon and eaten a big meal afterwards. Finally, I dared to look into the rearview mirror once again, to cleanse the dirty feelings still clinging to my body, to see that it had all been nothing, just a story. Reflected in the darkness were an army of eyes, like a field of flowers. Something rose up my throat, trying its best to not let out a breath. As I kicked my foot down the pedal, I wished deeply for the sun to rise. My paralyzed uncle is trying to tell me something. Locked-in syndrome by tonight's terror. The minute I answered my dad's phone call, I knew something was wrong. He used his voice that had the strain and forced calm I recognized as the preamble to bad news. Then it came. My great uncle Charlie had suffered a stroke the night before. You're likely thinking, great uncle, did you even know him? I did. And my dad knew him even better. Charlie had raised my father from the age of 10 after a car accident had taken his life. I listened as my dad relayed the details of the night and saw her in the fire. Charlie had to spend some time in the hospital. But later in the days passed. My father and I visited Charlie. I found myself sitting beside his bed for hours every day. I'd play his favorite music, Tom Waits and Leonard Cohen. My phone read him the news on his beloved New York Mets. I was 30 when this all happened. A month before, I'd been laid off and hadn't found anything new yet. I would never say I was grateful for the distraction that Charlie stroke provided, but I was grateful for the timing. My dad couldn't be at the hospital all the time, and with no work would make the difference. It felt good to give myself over completely to the thoughts. Charlie was certain that he'd given up a life of bachelorhood, travel, and disposable income when he adopted my father. It's a lot of things, sure. No one's perfect. He was a good man. My dad was touring a care facility one morning while I stayed in the hospital in South Charlie. He hadn't spoken since the stroke. I was hoping to see channels trying to open Charlie's eyes to her recognition that meant I'd landed on the right one. And I was just stepping quietly in. I met him a few months before he was bald and handsome and Clark Kessler. Looking at him, standing there beside the bathroom, half expecting him to dash in. Maybe he didn't play, but he did take off his glasses. He folded them and held them in his hands, now crossed in front of his belly. In past conversations, he'd been very upbeat, speaking brightly of Charlie's recovery. Today it was clear he'd reached a backstop. There was no optimism to be found in his face. Charlie was there beside him. As you know, Charlie has suffered a vascular artery stroke. The condition he finds himself in now is commonly known as locked-in syndrome. I must have warned a befuddled expression because he quickly clarified, your uncle is unlikely to recover his ability to speak. His motor functions may slowly return, but at his age, I am not optimistic about that either. However, he is in there. He can hear you. He can think and feel as he always has. I turned to Charlie. His eyes were cast up at the ceiling. There was no readable expression I could discern. The muscles of his face were almost entirely useless to him. From time to time, I'd see a twitch of movement in his jaw, but that was about it. I wanted to cry as I thought of how he must have been feeling as he heard this news. How trapped inside his body he now knew he'd always be. Over the next 20 minutes, I did my best to take notes on my phone and ask practical questions of the doctor. I knew my dad would want to have this meeting all over again when he returned later that afternoon, but it was the only thing I could think to do beyond From time to time, I'd hear a rushed breath or sigh from Charlie behind me. I moved to sit on the bedside so I could squeeze his hand. It was clear to all of us that he was still reasonably nimble at reading his eyes. They could tell me. Today, though, I couldn't take anything from his gaze. As the doctor's instructions stretched on, Charlie closed his eyes.
Pushing up, more.
Later, Dad sat across from the table, chain restaurant repeated. We'd eaten here 3 times in the last few weeks, and my distaste had only grown with each visit. It was the nearest thing to the hospital that wasn't fast food, so there we were. We each nursed a beer without saying much. While my dad was in the restroom, I ordered us each a chicken breast sandwich, the least alarming item on the menu from a coronary standpoint. When he sat down, his voice had the bad news hype. He forced a smile and asked, "You think this place could cater my birthday?" He lifted his hand and gestured to the ridiculous decor hanging on the wall of the bar, a mountain deer head wearing a cowboy hat. I ignored him. Past the let him down easy phase, Dad. What's going on? He let out a long exhale and frowned deeply in the pitiful way we do. We know we can't afford any of the care facilities that I visited. They were close. Where does that leave him? There has to be an option. About Sandra, I responded incredulously. Saying that Charlie's ex-wife's name out loud. You know, Charlie had taken to my dad. She was younger than Charlie and didn't really want children. So we everyone agreed that it was best for her to move on. Back then, she'd been addicted to some kind of prescription drug. She's been existing somewhere, smoking people with Charlie's life. And never seen her in Dad said he was very nice to her. Give me a break. Last time Charlie mentioned her, it was because she turned up begging for money. Forget about it. Then what? He shook his head, as if to clear the image of the ex-wife. There are options. I've read up on them online, but I'll be honest, I don't think either of us are going to be okay leaving him in these places. They're pretty basic. The word grim comes to mind. What I saw online is the way these places market themselves. I worry the reality of living in them is far worse. He concluded gloomily. I bit my bottom lip and looked up at the ceiling fan and spun lazily. My dad spoke again. I had an idea. The waitress glided up beside us with our meals. As if she could feel our disdain for her workplace, she flopped the plates down hard enough to draw looks from the next table. By way of apology, she murmured, "Enjoy." Her back already turned. "This place is a real gem," I said, looking down at my sandwich. A sad-looking scrap of lettuce hung from the bun like a flag signaling the bland flavors within. Ignoring me, my dad carried on. "What if you moved in with Uncle Charlie and looked after him? You're not working right now, and there's a state program that can compensate you for acting as his caretaker." Doubtful because he pressed on now with the tone of a salesman. I already looked into it. The program would be a legitimate income, and it wouldn't have to worry about the quality of care you can give. Professionals. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse. His insurance would cover the cost of a nurse coming in a few times a week. I took a bite of my sandwich and chewed the overcooked, leathery chicken slowly. To the stall and think about what my dad had said. I was 30, unemployed, and single. Keeping up with role as full-time carer for an elderly relative, a sure-required way to maintain both social status. So, what do you think? My dad asked, eyebrows raised expectantly. The little bastard who revisit care facilities. They have sure orders as I spoke. It was weird until it's in my direction of the coast. Absolutely. I suggest the same thing. The chart was desperate to keep back. I began to get truly comfortable. I can spare you the details of dressing, feeding, cleaning it. However, I don't think I was half bad at the job. My only complaint was one that racked me in guilt. I was lonely. I spent almost every waking hour in the company of a man I knew well, but since his stroke, it was a lot like being alone. I talked to Charlie all day and watched his eyes to see if he found the comment funny, interesting, or maybe exasperating. A few times I caught myself asking him a question like, "This rain is going to let up eventually, don't you think?" Then I'd offer a sheepish apology. As the days and weeks passed, I began to know his home well. Every foot of carpet, every cupboard handle, every muttering belch from the furnace as it kicked on in the night. All familiar to me. I think it was this well-worn routine and sense of familiarity that made it so easy to notice something out of place. I felt paranoid even making note of it at the time, but I saw footprints pressed into the shag carpet of Charlie's living room, the room we spent most of our time in during the day. They were visible for just a few feet between the computer desk and the closet. I think I noticed them because I never spent any time there. I never used the old desktop computer. I was really back to that thing that was looking at its devices for that is Charlie's chair. The circuit for Charlie's chair is pretty simple. Bedroom to living room to window to bathroom. I'd been staring at the curious print in the rug for a few minutes before I shook myself loose from the trance and decided to get on with the day. Charlie had been at the window, watching the birds at his feeders for a while. Probably too long. Hey, Uncle Chuck, I greeted him warmly as I always did when I'd left him on his own in a few minutes. I pulled his chair back from the picture window and gingerly lifted him from his chair into his dark green leather recliner. He couldn't have weighed more than 150 pounds. I did my best to ignore it because it felt morbid, but I caught myself tracking his decline based on how easy it was to climb and lift him. As his head rested against the chair and studied his face, he could turn his head over course and the controller's office. They were darting left and back to him. His beautiful eyes been missing him. It wasn't involuntary, like a spasm. You okay, Chuck? You want to go back to the window? His eyes finally stopped their wild dance, and he focused on my face, intensely. We're going to ask